Hey, what's going on, everyone? I have Samuel here who's been crushing it inside of his funding business. And so I wanted to bring him on so he could share in his success and hopefully learn something. So, Sam, thanks for hopping on, my man.
You're welcome, Alec.
Awesome. So, yeah, I want to start with some of your recent wins here. So, I know that you've been getting some amazing big approvals for your clients. I'm seeing 51K at Amex, 197K for one client, 57K at Chase, getting a bunch of 20K wins at PNC. So, I've been seeing you kind of become the go-to guy in the group here for PNC. So, yeah, how's the funding business results been going for you so far? Like, are your clients crushing it right now? Like, how's that been?
Going pretty well, I would say. I mean, I guess like this month we have like 18 people in funding, so
Awesome.
so definitely could be worse.
Yeah.
But of course, aiming for more in the future.
Yeah, 100%. No, stepping stones. So, yeah, man, no, I've been happy to see all the different wins lately. And now I guess that we're kind of at this point. I'd love to bring you back a little bit too. So, Samuel's actually a German gentleman right here. So, I'd love to learn about like what kind of got you in the funding space originally, since I don't think Germany necessarily has a credit system either. So, what kind of got you in the space and what got us to this point all the way back?
Well, it was pretty interesting. So I have a background in corporate in marketing. So I was head of marketing for a big chemical firm, and then actually left them and wanted to take a break for a couple of months, and then like over my network consulting requests and like can you help here, can you help there, uh, came in and kept coming in. Yeah, and then at some point, a different funding company reached out, and I started building their marketing. Then I built their sales team. Then I built their fulfillment, and then became their COO. And yeah, at some point, that company unfortunately had some issues, more on the moral side. Let's call it that way. People the industry might be familiar with such cases. And that was then the moment that Integrity First was born. So even in the name, that
Oh, wow.
background
Makes sense.
is included. And yeah, now last week we had our 1 year anniversary.
Awesome. Okay, great. Oh, so that's pretty interesting then. So you kind of like basically became like the ops guy, almost like a funding offer, did the marketing, built out their systems, and then helped with the fulfillment, and just kind of took more and more responsibilities in the company. And then I guess maybe you saw like an opportunity yourself, like you're starting to learn the space and figured maybe I'll launch my own thing at this point, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the opportunity in the space is huge, right?
Yeah.
So everybody needs money, and I also see that like in the next 10 years, 70% of the businesses in the US need to transition from away from boomers to the next generation. So the need for financing will be huge.
Hmm.
So the opportunity is definitely there, and then sometimes life throws you a curveball and kicks your ass a little to move into the opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of people like they want to launch a business and everything, but most Americans are maybe paycheck to paycheck per se. So it's hard to launch a business when you ideally would like to, hire a team, run a marketing campaign, start some ads, and but if you have limited savings, it can be a little bit scary and kind of limits you somewhat. So, I think we have not only an opportunity to make a lot of money in this industry, but also change a lot of lives, which is amazing. So, yeah, man, it's cool to hear that we're at the 1 year anniversary now of this business, and I know that when you first started working with us, you're already around like the 70 to 80K a month range. Could you maybe tell us more about like where you were at, what you're kind of like maybe, running into bottleneck wise, and what were kind of like your goals when you kind of like first came to us with the Credit Coach Academy program?
So I mean, when we came to CCA, the whole success I would say was built pretty much on like two or three banks that I had been like working routinely with, have my relationships with from the past. But we wanted to put that on like a broader base. And that is, of course, where the exchange between all the funders comes in, and the data point exchange, the relationship exchange, and all of that of CCA.
Hmm.
That was the plan, as life always is. Things come very differently. Unfortunately, my business partner back in the days had then to leave the company for some personal reasons, and yeah, I was left with like managing an 11 people operation on my own overnight. So, and then that is where actually CCA helped stabilizing things and helped getting me through that time. And I mean, we're still at 80K months. That's the good news.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
so that was definitely helpful. And yeah, now we're stabilizing even more, and hopefully very soon, then also cross the 100K mark.
You know, super exciting. Yeah, I remember we were talking about your partner and everything, and that could be really scary for business too. I mean, you lose literally half of the leadership, and so maybe the team would have been a little bit nervous, and clients weren't too sure, and so I'm sure maybe being on your own that would have been even maybe more difficult. But happy to hear that CCA has been helpful in that regard. And so what you were saying with back to where you were too. So you're still bringing on a good clip of clients. You're getting some funding wins, but you just only had like maybe so many banks to kind of pull from. I remember us talking about that. And so yeah, you had like maybe 3 to 4 banks you were kind of focused on, looking to expand and have more options and maybe collect more success fees and just ultimately more results for clients. And so once you were able to join CCA and have access to the vault and our team, like how was that first experience for you and seeing all the different options that were, and did that make it a lot easier for you to now expand to more banks? How was that transition?
Yeah, I mean, in general, it's very easy, right? You have a big database, and then you can look into it. And for relationships, you can either use some of those who already are offered by the CCA team, or you just connect with the people in the community. They sometimes also, of course, can help out. For example, 2 things that I took was I received a US bank relationship, so we're getting way better results there now. I also lean more into personal loan stacks now, so that increased our total funding per client. On the other hand, I guess I shared like an Amex process, which was like really nicely working for a couple of months. PNC, we talked about that earlier. I guess wasn't not really used by anybody before, and that is basically, I would say, the core process, right? Give and take, and that's how it works.
Yeah, no, and I know you're like a big contributor to the community as well, which is great to see. I mean, that's like the power of the whole group ultimately, is that mastermind effect, and people are coming in. I know you hopped on a lot of we have the funding forum calls every 2 weeks, and so everybody hops in on the group, and we open up the vault and we go bank by bank. Okay, what's everyone seeing? What are the updates? And I know Sam hopped on a lot and shared with him, and then we had other members of my team participating and other members of the group, so that mastermind effect. So I definitely appreciate you contributing a lot for that, for sure. And then yeah, it's good to hear that the vault was helpful for you. So what do you think maybe you're doing on average funding per client before? Then what were you able to maybe increase the average to, thanks to like the CCA program per se?
So I would say we maybe went from around 130 to maybe 180 to 200 per client.
Awesome.
Ballpark in that range. In general, right now, like we're funny enough seeing the clients actually want a little bit less money than historically. So the effect could be bigger actually, but there's a trend that clients often actually say, oh, 75 is fine, 100 is fine right now. So which is great too, because you have a lot of happy clients and I mean a lot of quick wins.
Yeah. I think that's like something good to know about too, because everybody thinks, what if I could qualify everybody for 300-400K, but if you're launching a marketing agency business, you probably don't need $300,000, and maybe that's a little bit scary for someone to have access to that much capital. And so if you can just have like a consistent process to get someone, to that 100, 150K, I'm sure that'll probably fit 90, if not 95% of the amount of people. And now having access to so many banks, for sure you'll hit that mark every single time, which is, I think, probably one of the better things to maybe focus on. But no, I'm glad we got to increase your funding amount by like literally over 50% with the data points and everything. And then within the CCA program too, we try to help you with systems and SOPs and implementation. I know you're growing your sales department as well. Were we able to help you out at all with like maybe like our concierge process, maybe some of our go high level automations? Like, was that helpful for you a little bit with like your show up rate, for example?
Not too much, because the reason was our go high level setup actually was very professional, just with having a couple of years, industry experience before. What, however, did help is you have quite a lot of training sessions for ramping up new employees and giving them like a crash course with a funding boot camp. And that was actually very helpful and probably saved me whenever I hired at least 10 hours.
Yeah. Okay. It's like maybe if some of your new funding specialists, did you bring on some new people during the program and our resources helped you ramp them up, kind of thing?
Exactly. So now what I basically do is like I send them the funding boot camp, when they basically sign their work agreements, and then I say like, hey, that's like 10 hours to watch for you before your first day. Whenever you're in the gym or when you're like, I don't know, having any idle time. I would love it if you watch it. And then nobody, of course, says no.
Yeah.
And then you have people ready on day one already with like the basic knowledge of the industry.
Yeah. And just to give context for everyone watching too, the funding bootcamp is something that we try to run basically every 2 months or so. And it's a full crash course of everything you need to know about getting results for your clients. So we bring it all the way down to the 101s. So how do we read a credit report? How do we find personal information? Where are the inquiries? Then we go through the Cinderella profile. So what do the banks look like or look for in the perfect borrower? So basically that checklist. And then we tie that checklist back to the credit report. So how do we find the different items and see if whether or not we can check them off? And if we cannot check off items, how do we fix those? Then once the clients are ready, okay, now we can start to talk about the funding process. So how do we build funding plans? How do we customize it for this particular client based on where they live, previous funding, burnt banks, et cetera? And then how do we actually submit applications? So it's really meant to be like a full A to Z. I mean, we do it live as well. So like for members inside of CCA, they can join and their team can join. Then obviously we record everything so that everybody has access to it. So I'm glad that's been a great resource as well. But awesome. So we focus on that a lot. And then yeah, I guess the community factor. I know you had a chance to network with some of the other members inside of the community as well. I think I saw you hopping on videos with maybe Drexel per se. So has the network been helpful for you too within the CCA program?
Yeah, I would say I built like 2 or 3 connections with other funders. That was definitely a good thing. I would say we can probably leverage even more. I mean, the cool thing is, I guess there is now an in-person event also coming up in Miami. I guess like next week or in 2 weeks. I unfortunately can't make it because I have some personal stuff exactly on that date. But yeah, I guess that will also like improve the value a lot because some things just work better in person.
Yeah, no, 100%. We're trying to implement events every 3 months now, so opportunities for us to shake hands. There are more and more people joining the CCA program. We're almost at 100 active clients now, and I know it's one thing to kind of shake hands virtually, but in person is obviously nothing else that comes close. But yeah, man, I'm glad that you were able to drastically improve funding results. You have so many more options now inside of your business. We've been able to implement a lot more for your success team and your clients. How would you say, like, how would you describe your funding fulfillment now? Are you kind of like removed from that process mostly? Do you kind of focus on data points? Like, what does that kind of look like?
Well, it's still more involved than I would like to be. So basically, I now have 2 people on the team in like 8 days. The 3rd person starting.
Okay.
And then with that 3rd person, I'll be fully removed. But basically, when we started the company a year ago, of course, I took all the fulfillment myself, as it happens when you start, and then slowly, step by step, you hand them over. So I guess at like one point, I was managing around 150 clients while building the company, and yeah, right now, I guess I'm down to 45, and then
Okay.
yeah, the next person typically. One person in our fulfillment team always handles around 60 clients in parallel. So yeah, in 2 weeks or so, I can start handing over even more.
Wow. No, that's awesome. I mean, 1 year in business, and now you're 2 weeks away from stepping out of fulfillment entirely, going back to the marketing, which you're good at, and scaling that element. You already got closers and everything. You say you've been at the 80K a month consistently now for a while. And so now, I guess, moving forward, like, what are some goals that you're kind of setting for yourself over the next 6 months? Like, where are you hoping to take this?
I mean, the next important thing for me is actually the sales part because that, I mean, is actually more unstable than I like it to be still. So it feels like always there's like 2 pretty dry weeks and then like 1 week we completely crush it. So that is like the big next mission, actually stabilizing sales and also growing sales a little bit. Also having like, now a senior person on the team, which I hope I can develop into a leader in the next couple of months.
Awesome.
So that is actually, besides stepping out of the daily fulfillment work, the other big thing, getting more out of the daily sales management. Yeah, because like right now, with now not having a business partner, I'm working like 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, and that's a little bit much. So yeah, and when those 2 things are handed over, then I guess my life also becomes number 1, a little bit more balanced, and number 2, of course, I can focus on like the high leverage tasks in the business, which are also coming a little bit short right now.
Yeah. No, I totally feel it. There's just so much we have to do as a business owner, but then thankfully, as the business grows, you have capacity to bring on team members, and you're literally right there with stepping out of fulfillment, and you're pouring that back into marketing, and I'm sure you'll have everything you need to probably double the volume and crush it for the rest of the year. So, no, man, I'm happy to hear everything's been moving well. Sounds like right now work on the sales, but you have full confidence in the fulfillment process, which is probably the most important thing. Really bring a client on. I know it can get them results, and now the team's about to do all that for you, and then now we just got to focus on the sales a little bit. But it sounds like you're in a great spot. But I guess if someone was considering now the CCA program and working with us, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say for anybody, especially starting out, or just or at like the smaller revenue levels, 4 or 5 figure, low 5 figures, like just go for it, because like you're basically getting not only like experienced advice, but also, like you get everything you need. We had already, for example, pretty advanced systems. So for us, the main motivation at our scale was the data points. But like if you're starting out, like there's so much more to CCA. So I guess like really if you're just like, hey, you're part-time funding, or like, trying this out as a side hustle, and then you want to make it a real thing, I guess then CCA is a great fit. And I mean, if you're already bigger, like we were, and you have some bigger gaps in data points, also makes sense. I mean, the numbers are then, it's pretty easy, right? Financially, you can calculate the numbers on the pipeline.
Yeah. No, I mean, even if you start adding like an extra 50K funding result per client, I mean, you only take so many clients. You add an extra 50K times 10. I mean, that's an extra 50K a month potentially in the business that you're kind of locking up, so it can go quick. But I mean, I definitely appreciate it, and appreciate you hopping on as well. I've been happy to see like your big progress, and you're so close now to like really cracking those 6-figure months, which is super exciting. And so I look forward to seeing you hit those numbers here. But yeah, man, thanks again for hopping on. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Alec.